Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It is Monday, February 10th, 2025. Want to jump on back here and take a look at some things that happened on Friday. I want to talk mostly about fading a market that has clues for a sell-off, right? So if we go back to Friday morning, and this is very similar to, I feel like, the review we did maybe on Thursday of last week as well, when we were getting a lot of bearish clues up off a major area, and then the market went ahead and sold off from there, and that was the high of the day, basically to the tick. So when we came in on Friday, it was very similar. The market had advanced up to the next major roadmap area, right? Because all day on Thursday, they kept rejecting off that 05, right? So we came up and failed just before the open to the tick, and then at the end of the day, they made it all the way back up and then failed right off of it again. And you can even see the low of Thursday there was our roadmap level within a tick or two. So we nailed the high and the low of the day. And then on Friday, we came in and we had a very similar look to the highs. So if we go to, maybe we can go to our higher time frames really quickly, because I want to kind of turn this more into a lesson more than just a review of what happened. So as we came in on Friday morning, I believe that was the 9 a.m. candle, so the market hadn't officially opened. This is what we were looking at on Friday. And we talked about how we had peaked up a little bit, but we still had this hourly potential bearishness up from the highs. This is, again, coming into Friday morning. On the 4-hour, I believe as well, we were coming into Friday morning and, again, pushing up into that next roadmap level up there. Around 61, what's the actual number? 61.18. And we said, hey, look, we're pushing up to this new high. We've got potential bearishness on the 4-hour. We saw the hourly showing it. And on the daily, now we have all three critical time zones, or time frames lining up. We want hourly, 4-hour, and daily lining up to lead the major rotations in the market. And that's typically what happens. So when we came in on Friday, the market had pushed, again, we were pushing up through the highs of the day before in the overnight session there. We just talked about that. That's that 61.05 half level that they peaked on through coming into Friday morning. And we said, hey, look, as we're pushing up to new highs compared to the day before, the RVI on the daily is now starting to hint that there is some bearishness up off these overnight highs, right? This candle had not closed yet. In fact, most of the candle to the downside was not there, right? We opened here. We pushed in the overnight session to test the high the day before and push through it. And then we had this bearish signal, potential signal on the daily chart. So you could kind of see it here. We had pushed up to new highs compared to the previous swing high, which was the high of the week before that. We were higher in RVI, but price had not made it up to test the high yet. And I told you we could technically continue pushing to test the previous weekly high and still see the divergence, but we are getting our first clues as we come into Friday for that setup. Or maybe we started to see it on Thursday morning, and then Friday it was still there. So on Friday, we had the potential on the daily, we had the 4-hour showing a good sign of potential divergence, and we had the hourly, right? So that was kind of what we were seeing coming into Friday morning, and this is kind of where we were just before the market opened. We were very close to that next roadmap level. We had all those bearish clues up off the high. And then I believe if you go down to the 3-minute and jump back to the open yesterday on Friday, there was even some bearishness up around these highs as we were kind of testing in here. And this might have been that news event, if I recall correctly. And then it was still showing potential bearishness up here. We peaked to a new high just as the market opened, still showing bearishness. And then I believe, just give me a second here, looking at my other screen. Give me just a moment here. Uh-oh. Sorry, I got a mess. My screen just got messed up on the other chart. So I can't pull that over now. I don't know how I'm going to recover this screen. What the heck happened here? Bear with me for a moment. Okay, sorry about that. Little bit of a technical difficulty. So I got this back here. So I was just talking about seeing the 3-minute potential, seeing the higher time frames on the hourly, 4-hour, and the daily. And then we had things like this, like on our 30-minute, which is about half of that hourly chart. Again, we're pushing up, coming into the open here to this new high. And so the market had just opened after this candle printed here. And we were still seeing potential bearishness on the 30-minute. So again, the idea here is we had an overarching number of time frames all showing bearishness as we were pushing up, and it was agreeing with the hourly, 4-hour, and daily potential, right? So as we pushed out of the open on Friday, you can see here, here's the open, the vertical line. They pulled back to basically hold the high the day before there, and they pushed to the new high, right? So we were, again, talking about being bears, assuming we could hold and start to get below our moving averages coming into Friday morning. And so they did push out of the open. And then right here, this was kind of the sign. So again, we had all the bearish clues on higher time frames coming into the open. Again, just like Thursday, they came up, they did peak up into this new roadmap area and get through it. And then just after, you can even see the parry once again off that 18 level to try and come up. And then the whole thing dropped out. So again, now we have a break of the lows from the morning with all the time frames giving you a very clear bearish potential from the highs. So this breakdown here, where we sold off nearly 20, 30 points in a matter of, 2 or 3 minutes or a minute or two, was your sign that this could be the beginning of a sell-off, because we had all the clues in terms of the signals we look for, and we had come in and broke all the overnight lows here as we were pushing. So that would have been your first clue. Now, does that mean that you're guaranteed for the market to sell off, right? They could have just sold down to the close of the day before, a very typical move, and then come all the way back up. It's always possible. But we'd had all the clues, and then look what ended up happening here. They came right up to the high of the day before, the VWAP. And as they were testing into the high of the day before in VWAP, you had this very clear bearish divergence on your tick chart, which is kind of the shorter time frames that we're relying on to get our entries, right? 3-minute, 3-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, hourly, 4-hour. Those are giving us clues for the potential rotation, but our entries, or at least the way I trade, is right off the 512. So this would have been your first opportunity on Friday to get in short in the direction of the signals I warned you about, right off a level that would typically hold. And there you have it. So you had the level to the tick, you had the divergence setting up. As we were pushing up into this area, you should have noticed as we were getting close to the area that you would want to try, this divergence was starting to show. It had already pushed up through the high of the previous swing back here. And so within an instant or two of coming into the area, you should have noticed. And again, whether you took the level, which is really the best entry to get into, whether you took that or maybe you waited for it to come down and then kiss the back end of the FMA there and get in. That would have been probably the best thing you could have done on Friday, because everything was lining up for that expectation of a deeper sell-off. Now, whether or not the market actually sold off 30, 40, 50 points from there, that's not the point. The point is we had clues for a pullback. The market showed its face coming within 30 minutes of the open there. And then you had that one beautiful short opportunity, right? So this is now, rather than just looking at, hey, look, it held our level, it bounced with divergence. Now we're trying to put it into context of what type of larger time frame signals do we have? Are we getting the break of some key levels? And then where are we going to get in based off of that perspective, right? And like I said, it could have come all the way back out and pushed to new highs for the day, or came back to test the highs, or maybe even come right up into our roadmap level here and then peter out for a lower low again, right? So it's always possible, but this was the setup. And if you look at it, not only from the perspective of the moving averages, you can look at it from the perspective of the divergence. You can look at it from the perspective of the test of the high of the day before, and even the swing low from the morning open. Or you could even say, hey, look, this was a near perfect 50% retracement of the push down. So there is quite perfectly to the tick a 50% retracement of the leg down. There's your entry, and there's your profit to the downside, right? So that, my friends, would probably, in my opinion, is probably the best trade of the day. Now, did it go for the biggest move of the day? I don't know, but I do know that on Friday, we continued to sell off, right? So the idea on Friday was if we could get down through our roadmap level or down through the moving averages and start moving in the direction of the signal we had, we were expecting the market to try and push down lower. Of course, the caveat to that, and you guys should know if you've been here for a while, is that each roadmap level could be the next major low. We don't know how far the sell-off is going to get. We just have clues it's most likely going to happen from here. So you got that perfect opportunity off the VWAP. And then from there, you did have one other opportunity that I thought looked really good, and that was this short off the 200. The only unfortunate part about that setup is that you missed the 200 by maybe 1 or 2 ticks there. So if you were waiting for the market to come in and still show that divergence, notice as we pushed in, this was all divergence here, right? We had pushed to a new high. We were right around the 200 in a downtrend, and we had this very, very, very obvious divergence forming. So that was your next opportunity. Again, I most likely would have had my short at 99.5 and missed it by 2 or 3 ticks, right? So that's just the way the cookie would have crumbled there. Of course, you guys know on Friday, my stream went out. So I did not, I lost internet, I think within the first moments of the open here. So, market opened, my internet went out, my stream went down, and I didn't get it back until around noon on Friday. So all this price action in here I was not looking at or trading. In fact, I couldn't even get a feed on my computer. So I didn't do anything all morning because of that. But that, again, was maybe your second best opportunity. But I do have to say the caveat is it didn't quite make it to where I would have entered the market, right? Missed it by 2 or 3 ticks. Now, on the way down, notice the next major bounce, my friends, to the tick, the roadmap level, comes right to it, gives that a beautiful little kiss, and then that's where our next bounce is, right? So this is why I tell you, even though we're expecting the market to sell off and maybe even begin a 50, 100-point sell-off from that high, each roadmap level could be the area of the next bounce. And you can even see on the way down here, right after that big sell-off right around 10 a.m., maybe that was that news drop, right to it and bounced. And then we come down lower. Of course, this one doesn't quite work out, but they come right here to the tick for the bounce. So great opportunity to buy, I guess, if you wanted to go against that move. And then here was the tag of the 200 where you could have got in for another picture perfect short. Because not only was it the 200, not only was there a big divergence, but it was also 50% of the day before and our roadmap level basically to the tick. So you had another short opportunity, and look, all morning, near perfect, almost zero risk. Again, this one almost missed, and this one, right? We're talking about trades with less than 2 points of risk typically. That could be the beginning of a big push. And right here, of course, you kind of catch the last end of the move. So you get in, you don't take on much risk. You should hopefully get your 5-pointer off, but then it came right back up. And notice where the trouble was on the next push. The major roadmap here where we tested twice, that being the sexy one with the big bearish divergence, and then there was a pullback from there, right? So all morning, some great short opportunities. That was where we expected the market to go. And then look at this, my friends. They cannot get through the next major roadmap level. They even get up through it, pull back and bounce, fail, and then come back and fail one last time. And then the bears continue to push the market lower going into the rest of Friday here. And we could sit here and scrutinize all these rotations, I think it's pretty clear here where all the major resistance and the major supports are. They're right off our roadmap levels, right? And then at the going into just before the news hour or the lunch hour, you had, again, it sells off. There's the 200. There's the 200, rejects, keeps on going, right? So there were some good shorts on the back end there. And then here's where my feed came back. So again, gets a little messy over in here, but look, right off the back end of the previous daily low, the 200 moving average, bearish divergence. Same thing here off the 200, bearish divergence. Two great short opportunities there. And then my feed came back somewhere around here. So we were bouncing again off our quote unofficial roadmap level, which was support here all throughout on the morning. And then I noticed we were pushing up into the back end of 62 there. I saw the clear divergences over in this area. Right there. See how we kept kind of pushing to lower highs, but this was pushing up right into the roadmap level, creating higher highs. I took the short off the roadmap level, and then I added another one here, and I made a little bit of money. But of course, that was, I believe, the beginning of the bounce. Oh, no, maybe not. So I got in, I made a little bit of money, came back, and that was all I did on Friday. So we come back down, and then what is the low of Friday? Our roadmap level to the tick there at 60.48. I think it's 60.48. One tick in front, and then that, I believe, begins the bounce. So the low of the day here, again, comes right into the major 50% level that we watch on our charts. And then from there, you get the bounce at the end of Friday. Oh, maybe not. You get the big bounce, and then it rejects off the major roadmap level at 78 there. And then we get, I guess, some lower lows coming into the end of Friday there. And again, you can see rejection, right? It comes all the way up, right to the roadmap level to fail down. And then at the end of the day on Friday, you can see pretty messy in here, but still holds the roadmap level, comes up, holds the back end of our unofficial roadmap level, and then parries back and forth inside. So that brings us here into Sunday now. And as you can see, this was just another beautiful little continuation to the downside on Friday, or on Sunday's Globex session, where we pushed to lower lows. So just to kind of zoom out and show you here again, one more time, daily on Friday, big bearish potential. We sell off, and you can see now, there's the bearish divergence up off the high, and here's our follow through to the downside. So we made it all the way down. And we did have that 4-hour up top there, leading that push. See how beautiful this pattern is? This is why I'm always looking for this, especially on the 4-hour and the hourly. These little peaks to a slightly higher high, big bearish divergence, and what do you know? There's the big sell-off, right? And as we come into the beginning of this week, you can see the bulls have recovered a little bit. And interestingly enough, they recovered right off the 61.8 retracement of this leg, right? So a big bullish leg from Monday's low last week all the way up to the high of Friday, where all the bearish signals lined up, pulled back, and in Sunday's Globex, we've bounced right off the 61.8 to start to come back. And we're actually sitting, just FYI, right at the 61.8 of the sell-off. So we sold off from Friday's high, bounced out, and we're now sitting right here at the 61.8 of that leg. So interesting ratios going on. All of them lining up almost perfectly, which is great. But let's go back to the short time frames and go to our Sunday Globex session, where you can see now we've got this beautiful bullish follow through to the upside. There's that 61.8 retracement that we just looked at. And now we are all the way back up to, again, right around the 61.8 retracement of the sell-off from Friday's high all the way back over here, 61.20-ish, all the way down to whatever low we made here in Sunday's Globex. We have retraced all the way back up to the 61.8, and that's right where we're getting our pullback coming into the open here. Okay, so on the way up, again, some pretty good rotations here in the overnight session. coming right up into the first roadmap level at 62 for the first pullback here, right up into the next roadmap level at 70 for these two pullbacks. And notice that in the middle of the night here, they just basically parried back and forth from the roadmap level at 70 down into 62 to 70 to 62. And now here we go, riding up the fast moving average to new highs, right? So the whole way, pullbacks into the 200. This right here would have been a beautiful little shot last night, about 6 a.m. my time. They pulled right into the Holy Orange power level, which had just printed about a minute before. A couple minutes before, you got a big bullish divergence. It was our roadmap level. It was the Hopeful. It was the major swing high from the overnight session. My friends, a to the tick hold for this bounce up to where we are right now. And you could even see one last little aggressive opportunity there off the second test of the FMA with big bullish divergence, which has now pushed us to the new overnight high. So let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and see if they have anything new to add to the picture for this morning.